So we're on the air anyway.
We're on the air.
Well, I'll tell you what we found out about our computer space, Brian, our 2-player, the green one. It turns out it came from somebody that we had been hounding to buy machines for over 20 years, and we couldn't get through to them. And then somebody got in and bought it and then sold it to us. But in a roundabout way, it was lucky it came back to us, but it was pretty frustrating too.
Wow.
Yeah, that was before email. Brett would mail certified letters to the daughter.
Saying we were interested, yep.
What year would be before email? That would be...
That was
1912.
Yeah.
No.
That was probably 96, 97, something like that. And then he passed away, so I started writing the family certified letters saying we're interested. And it just... And then, so we didn't know it came from there. But this last week, we were at Eldorado Games, and we were talking with, what's his name? John. We were talking with John, and John had given the lead to another collector, and we said, did it come from Hayes Amusement? And he said, yes, it did. And we're like, dang it, we tried so hard to get that stuff.
Wow, so you were at Eldorado, the actual location?
Yes.
So, interesting thing, Eldorado owns the only other video vendor that I know of. Have you seen it? Are you aware of it?
John showed it to us.
You know what they use it for?
I own one that I restored. It works 100%. Yeah, they use it as a ladder.
Yeah, they stand on it in the warehouse to get to the.
I told him I will buy you a ladder, dude.
Yeah,
that's exactly how we used to treat pinballs. One time we walked into a warehouse and 250 machines. Everything was $200. So we opened them in Evil Madness, stood in the coin door to look over to see what video games we could see behind them.
Yeah, we didn't care about pinballs at all.
And we bought. I did buy a Kubert cocktail that day, which was fun, but should have bought the. What was it called? Oh, Medieval Madness. Yes.
Oh yeah, just like a $12,000 pin. No big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right.
Not anymore though with the remake, right?
No, it's still up there.
Oh.
Yeah.
The remakes tank the market a little bit, and then it kind of comes back.
It's got Tina Fey in it.
Yep.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sure it isn't Sarah Palin?
Oh yeah, I can see Alaska. I mean, I can see Russia from my backyard.
Oh, I can see a Kubert cocktail from here.
Nice.
Yeah, that just saddens me. Your foot was in a $12,000 machine, and then you're like, "I'll take that back, man."
Dang. So back to the video vendor. What was the condition? Did you think it looked okay, or was it just like a completely trashed out?
Well, much like pinballs, what we used it for is to stand on so we could see what else is in the room.
Damn it! I just. Damn it!
What other game did you stick your foot in? Just interested in knowing.
It's a very personal question.
Right.
It is funny that you asked because this weekend we went with a group of collectors. When the Dallas auction was canceled, we were all headed to Dallas. The Dallas auction was canceled, so we just decided to go freestyle picking, basically. And we did find an empty stern cabinet, probably a scramble was painted black. And earlier in the trip, we had said there was so much room inside a stern cabinet that a person could sit inside. So naturally, we had to get inside the empty stern cabinet and snap a picture. It was in an antique mall in South Missouri.
Nice. Pre-show stories.
I've only been able to fit in the top of the Pong. I don't understand why some games, I guess they do it for stability where there's like a whole, like you can only get in half the game, right? They're like, oh, we need a shelf in the middle. I mean, yeah, the monitor's going to sit on it, but also that will stop the people from having fun getting into this game.
And the annoying part is there's enough room that you can leave a drill gun and a meter and a flashlight. You're like, dang it, where are all my tools?
Provisions, a cell phone.
I was
one time we went to a Dallas auction and we had a scramble there that we were selling, and I opened up the coin door at the last minute to check to see if it had credits on it, and that's what Brett referenced. I found all the tools I had lost on the shelf inside the scramble, and I was like, okay, there they are.
I was joking when I got the discs of Tron back to the warehouse. I was gonna put it next to the X-Men and call it my double wide.
Yeah.
So, what's the most money you found in a game? And let's go around the table.
Well, that same pick that we passed on the Medieval Madness, our buddy Sam bought a Galaga machine, $200, and when we moved it, it was like, this is the heaviest Galaga. What is going on? And he got home and opened it up, and there was like $229 in quarters in the bottom. So that was the most I witnessed.
I bought a claw machine that had about $70
Found
in
a
it.
porn video. One time we found a porn video, and it was VHS. And after we bought the machine and brought it to Mike's house, then the guy came over, and didn't he say, "I need to get something out of the machine"? I can't remember. And he tried to pick it up. I can't.
It was really. We didn't actually physically watch it, but he was like knocking down my door, and it was just like, I got to get something out of there. And I'm like, what? And then he thought maybe it was weed or cash, and then it was a VHS tape.
Oh my god!
Like, okay.
Was it his favorite movie, or like home movies, or do we even know?
No, it was a self. Self-recorded. Had a handwritten label on it and stuff.
Nice.
Awkward.
I had a Miss Pac-Man cocktail that I had picked up for like $50 or $60 that had $150 in it. And the guy that sold it to me also had me fixing 3 Tato Space Invaders tables, and the deal was I was supposed to fix 3, keep 1, give him 2 back.
Mm-hmm.
And he like insist. Oh no, sorry, wait. He wanted. Sorry, I'm going back on this. There was a whole weird trade going on.
Hey, let's all act like we're on the same car that Brian is.
He was going to buy 2 of them. He's going to pay me to fix 2. Never paid me for them.
Huh.
What? And then he came back and he starts going on about, I need to get those back. That's when I got the Miss Pac open. I'm like, glad I bought that one.
Yeah. Huh.
Hey, we got a couple of new people in the chat. There's a Clive Fraley says, "What's up, Mike?" And then a JSI Monson 18. What's going on?
Clark, how are you doing from Richmond, Virginia?
Nice. And we got Whiskey Flipper, Jabaruga, Time Runner. Hey, who's that guy? Mr. Peabody.
Guy? He's crazy.
Welcome to the show. Grinwing, welcome back.
Cocktail story? Is that what you were laughing about?
When the guy rode on a bicycle.
No, the one when he went to Susquehanna. He said, "Is it playing blind?"
Oh, yeah. I forgot.
By the way, for those of you just joining, this is the part of the show where we just kind of sit around and BS for a few minutes before we actually hit the button, which will be happening soon.
Adam loves to hit the button.
I love hitting the button.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you show everybody the button just because I haven't seen it in a while? I love the buttons.
I just
Don't touch it.
Okay.
Did you do it?
No, I didn't. You want to see the buttons?
I do, yeah.
All right,
so it's beautiful.
I had another question for the BS period too. There's the buttons.
It's nice.
Nice.
Digital.
What's the best It's Just a Fuse game you bought?
That's a good one.
Yep.
It does happen.
I've never had a Just a Fuse.
Really?
Yeah, that's
so many Street Fighters.
Well, okay, wait a second. It doesn't have to be Just a Fuse. It could be somebody said it was Just a Fuse and it was not Just a Fuse.
True.
I guess so.
I could tell you one that was frustrating that was Just a Fuse is that we had a Burger Time go down on location in Kansas City, and as the locations start to open up and people are coming in, it gets crowded. So Mike had a Burger Time that wasn't working, and he decided to bring it back to the shop and pulled it out there because he didn't want to work on it with people all around, and it was just a fuse. So that was the worst thing ever, knowing that you pulled it across town, take it out in the shop, and you're like, oh, just a fuse.
That is a bummer.
But that's when gas was like $1.09, so it was like...
Right. What's worse, I guess, is the wire, like one of the quick connects, were unplugged from the button or something,
Oh. We had that. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I had a Centipede that I got that was maybe Just a Fuse, but I got it for free.
Uh-huh.
And the board was fried. So
Oh.
there was no bringing it. In fact, I think Brian has the original board that I had, and I bought another. Oh, I had another one that sort of worked, and I fixed that one. So
I did just
go ahead, Brian.
I said I did just get a Afterburner. No idea. Like the guy said, it's $300. It just showed up at my shop later. I've never paid for it. He said, I haven't plugged it in. No idea. Do you want this? I'm like, sure. For $300 Afterburner, plugged it in, 100% working.
Nice.
At our Richmond Draftcade, we just had a Bucky O'Hare that we installed
Cool.
a brand new rebuilt K7000 in, and it went like after 2 days, the monitor wasn't on. It was playing blind. So we had rebuilt chassis there. So we switched it out. And then a couple days later, the monitor didn't work. And I'm like, what is going on with this cabinet? So then we started looking close. It was a loose spade on the isolation transformer in the bottom of the cabinet. Depending on how you positioned it, sometimes it would work and sometimes it wouldn't. I was like, come on, really? And now we can't figure out where that rebuilt chassis went. We probably put it somewhere to be fixed, and now I don't know where it went.
Hey, before we get started, what games you got behind you?
Tapper, Centipede, Kangaroo, Dig Dug. This is Darren Kuda's game room. He invited us over here tonight.
Nice.
Hello. Is he watching you?
Hey,
He has a mini skee ball too, which you never see, with just the little tiny golf ball sized skee balls.
Oh,
Interesting.
Hey, hey, Darren, you guys see got about Popeye over there? You like that game?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember playing that in DeMarco's United Super back in 1982.
I have one.
Yeah. I like that game.
You have a DeMarco Super?
I do.
Oh my God.
It's the craziest thing. Hardly fits in the house.
Yeah.
We had to turn the Popeye off because of the music kept going on.
Yeah. I was gonna say you could pull a Ken House and turn it on, and we just.
Ken's like, screw you, I'm playing it anyway. Yeah.
He had not one but two pole positions within. Yeah. The whole show, the entire show.
Hey, who wants to place a bet? I know Adam is working on a pole position FPGA board.
Not me.
Who wants to bet it will never be released? Come on. Okay, I'm just checking.
That's why I bought one of them pie positions.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was going to work, but
The product seems alright. We've seen it in action a few times. We have one, we just haven't used it yet.
I heard it's decent, but it has a little lag.
It's a little funky. I have one in mind.
Yeah. But hey, if you don't have a working pole position board, it sure does fit the bill.
Yep.
Well, who has a working pole position board? Just wondering.
I have two non-workings.
Yeah, I have one working and three non-working, so it's definitely always like like this.
What?
Hey,
right.
Christine.
Did you see her?
Yeah, she's right behind you, waving.
Oh, hi.
Hey.
Check that out.
They're asking why.
I have a girl in the house. Oh my god, I gotta go, guys.
Oh yeah, nice.
It's a Blue Chew commercial.
How are we gonna hit the button from here? I don't know.
Hey, let's hit the button.
We've had that problem before.
Yes.
Live from KOYR Studios in Minneapolis, Minnesota, this is...
It's anticlimactic there.
Especially when we're leaving Dead Space.
We just wanted the button.
Start the show. It's starting. It's not starting yet. You haven't done it. What's Adam doing? He's thinking.
Oh, it has started. It's on the Twitch.
Oh, we can't hear it?
Who said that?
Usually we hear it. I see it.
Yeah, I can see it. So, yeah, exactly. Like, we have people asking.
Hey,
us
Yeah.
we're doing a show here.
I mean, we can't hear the music, so hanging out.
I heard some pole position music.
Oh shit! Our audio is actually playing over it.
Yeah, the whole time. That was great. Bunch of douchebags.
Nothing but professionals
I'm
here.
so sorry.
Nothing but professionals.
So I don't know why that didn't work. You're not hearing anything through Skype, I guess.
No.
Well, that sucks. I did. You want to hear a fun story?
Sure.
Yes.
Well, first let's do the intro to the show.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey.
We'll fix it in post.
Exactly. That's how we do everything around here.
Yeah.
So hey, thanks for listening from wherever you are. This is season 6, episode 9 of the Arcade Radio podcast. Today is Thursday, March 10th, 2022, and the time is now approximately 7:30 something p.m. Central. I am your host, Adam Woof Woof. I'm joined by my co-host, Mark Shields. And last and least, Paradise Arcade Shop proprietor and part-time wild dog wrangler, it's Brian Thurston Howell Armitage the third. And joining us tonight, they have nearly 3 decades of picking, collecting, and turning their love of the golden age of video arcade games into their livelihood. As friends, they have traveled the United States, acquiring and restoring a collection of the games from their youth. What started as a hobby was transformed into their business, Supernova Vending. Ladies and gentlemen, please start your engines with a big round of applause for Mr. Mike Freeland and Mr. Brett Furing.
All right. I represent the ladies.
Just out of curiosity, did I pronounce your last name anywhere correct, Brett?
Yes.
Okay.
That was spot on. No complaints.
Thanks. Actually, that was the first time I read any of that, which...
Huh.
That, as usual, so that's good.
Yeah, no, I did read your name beforehand, so I just thought, I'll give it a shot. Normally I ask. I'm pretty nice about that sort of thing. Anyway, what you been working on while I fix some things on Skype? Mark, why don't you go?
Sure. I bought a Paperboy on Facebook, and the thing is, I spent $2,500 on it, which is pretty cheap for in today's market at least. However, my buddy had access to this in a buy of 40 something games in San Antonio for $7,000. So it's like I'm getting one of the ones that got away and paying somebody a premium, but whatever, whatever. You only live once. I set up my belt bin. I'm pretty happy with that.
Sweet.
And it's working, so that's good. I also got my Sega Outrun Deluxe off the trailer. It took 3 people. It weighs 750 pounds, either on or off the trailer, as it turns out. I have not tried to start it yet. When we did start it back before I picked it up, it was trying to center itself. So, hey, thank you, everybody. Thanks. I'm here all week. That one is a good deal. That how they say things balance out. I only paid $350 for that, so that is pretty awesome for me. I've almost moved out of my old storage unit. Last week I sort of started telling you about the story where I have 2 storage units and I pay for one of them to be empty, and so I've decided that's not a great idea.
Yeah.
And so I'm fixing that, and everything is out except for the almost A-Team van. It's almost the A-Team van because it doesn't have the stripe across. But if I just could get some paint, it would be the A-Team van. And my kit, Knight Rider, Trans Am also. Both of those guys are having carburetor problems. As a matter of fact, every car that was in the storage except for the Camaro had problems with its carburetor. Very strange. I was banned for TikTok Live. Because I created a War Games simulator.
Oh,
It would read whatever people said, and people were trying to make it say things that were not,
PC.
kosher.
Yeah.
Exactly. And because of them, I got banned. And I'm like, I said, hey, it's not my fault. It's your chatters that did it. And they were like, nope, you're banned.
Wow.
So my ban was over yesterday. I'll try to do something again. Excuse me, I still have not opened up the turkey chute or my 1943 Replicade, but eventually. So, yeah, so that's where I'm at.
I'll go next. I was on vacation. I haven't done anything arcade related.
Oh, where'd you go?
Went to Arizona to try and get COVID.
Oh.
I was unsuccessful. There was nobody wearing masks at all. Couple places, I guess, but it was pretty it's Wild West down there, man.
I mean, we are on the downturn of the big hump. So
yeah, I mean, I figure I'm vaccinated, whatever.
Right, me too.
I went in a pool with 50 people. It was gross.
Did any of them have diarrhea? Because I hear that's not what you're supposed to do.
No, not that I'm aware
sorry, I'm
of.
upsetting.
I did learn about the pool filtration system because my stepfather, I guess technically he's my stepfather, is the president of the RV club that my mom and he have units at. And he told me that they have like the specialized like
Diarrhea sensor? Wait, no.
No, but somebody did die in the hot tub.
Oh no! From diarrhea?
No, and not while I was down there. That's a side story. But anyway, they drained it and they fill it, and it has all these chemicals, and then there's a UV light system that it goes through, and all this stuff. So, pretty sophisticated for a little tiny RV park pool. But
I think the RV park pools are the ones that have the blue dye that if somebody pees.
Aha! Yeah.
No, yeah.
Oh, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true, if you know what I mean. No. Actually, it was funny. Probably 80% of the people that we talked to that were in that park were from Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
Which kind of makes sense. Like, it's word of mouth. So, like, we turned the corner. There was a couple people from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But most of them from, like, Minnesota. That was pretty weird.
Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
Minnesota. Because that's
Never
how we
heard of that place.
Yeah. And as you could tell, we all sound like we're from the movie Fargo.
And that's not even in Minnesota.
I know.
Awkward.
But Minnesota is.
Well, yes.
And so is the airport.
Yeah.
And
the bathrooms in the airport. Oh wait, no, sorry.
Yeah.
What were we saying?
I don't know. I was going to say, Ryan, what are you working on?
What am I had the last week. Well, first of all, I've been on call a ton, which is got me traveling a lot. I'm actually in Appleton, Wisconsin right now. But we have been doing, since the last show, ice cold beer is getting hauled down to AOMA next week, which is down in Vegas. That's the operators convention. We're going to show it there for 2 days. It's like, so we're going crazy building up 3 cabinets for that. Which is going to be awesome. We finished off rebuilding 3 big blues that ended up in the arcade. The Roadrunner got finished, and the Midway dogfight got finished, which is a hell of a lot of fun. We took 2 dogfights, made the best of the 2. I picked up one at an auction like 4 or 5 years ago, and the person who sold it, who will remain nameless, but rhymes with like if I ate something in the past tense. Ate something. He lives in Illinois. He sold it.
I like to say things like I'm not going to mention his name, but his initials are Brian McLeod Armitage.
He sold it saying that it was complete.
Oh,
working complete.
A complete mess.
This was an auction. No, I'm fine with complete mess. And then I hopped on. I couldn't figure out what's going on. One of the planes wasn't coming up. So I look in the back of the cabinet, it's missing. I'm like, damn it. So I went looking for a plane, thinking this was, a mistake. They thought it was complete, whatever. And I find a thread on KLOV by this person saying, hey, I've got this dogfight missing a plane.
And he sold it as complete.
Was incomplete, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He forgot to put the in front of complete.
Yeah. So I found a second one for like $150, and we made the best out of both, and now we've got an extra parts cab.
Nice.
So we've got a beautiful dog. I mean, the dog fight's gorgeous now. So that was exciting.
I have a beautiful dog.
I have a beautiful fight.
Let's get it together.
Yeah.
I'm incomplete.
You complete
just
me.
How Mike completes you.
What a bunch of yahoos. Hey, I want to welcome some more people to the chat tonight. Darren Kuda. Hey, I see you in there. And around the corner. Ice Cold Joe. Longtime listener. Joe Drosen. Oh, yeah. Mike Page is in the house. Necros is in the house. Ozark Mountains Arcade. Pinwiz. 77. Roxessi. You got to be careful of that one because it could be Rossexy. Yeah. Roxessi. Scuba King Twitch. I like that name, Scuba King Twitch. It's very good. It's like full of consonants. And our number 1 listener, Ryan, the S1500, is in the house. The first guy ever to listen to this show is in the house.
Still here, held hostage for 15 years. Wait, no. 6 years, right?
Oh, and Turd Ball. Nice to see you there. Speaking of pools and Agile T, that's good. We got a good group tonight.
Hello, chatters.
Chatters, and feel free to ask questions. Hey, Mike Freeland, Brett.
Yeah, we're here.
Adam Stevens, yes.
Yes, Adam.
Yes.
Adam, last name here. So that's what I put with the umlauts. Yes. But anyways, these gentlemen are here tonight. What are you guys working on? Brett Furing and Mike Freeland. What are you working on? Without getting too detailed.
Well, to be honest, we've been spending a lot of time recently picking again since, I don't know, just opportunities present themselves and we drop repairs and go with the truck and trailer and get what we can. So
Nice.
We've done that a lot lately and maybe still have 6 or more this month to finish.
You guys
and
could
then
have a
we'll get
show.
back to fixing things, yeah.
You can have a
The month
show
is
about
young.
picking. I think that's been done though.
I feel like there could be a TV show that follows you for this.
Yeah,
Just-
I mean, like it could be a couple guys, and they could have a van, and they could have a secretary. And,
yeah.
yeah.
You
And
would
then,
need tattoos.
true.
Those guys actually came up and picked American Pickers. They came up and picked a local guy's. We call him Scary Gary, but his name's Gary. He's pretty nice actually. He's not scary.
No.
He's really nice. He just is like, his stuff is more scary than anything.
Well, where he stores his stuff.
Yeah.
Wait, that's the guy that has the store, the containers?
Yeah, multiple container trailer
Yes.
trucks. Yep.
Right. And he makes you take your pants off before you go
No,
into the container.
It's the guy. That's where I found the space harrier.
I got a lot of wood ticks there though.
Oh, man.
Do you guys get a lot of
Sit
wood
down.
ticks when you go picking? Picking?
We actually had a friend on Claw. His name is Kebrank, Kebrank. He went
Yeah.
picking with us, and he ended up with Lyme disease from a tick.
Oh, my God.
no!
That is a true story. He
That-
may not be listening, but
That
now
is
now
not.
it's forever written in the internet.
You can cure that now, right? I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
That's crappy.
Brian Jones from Florida said he took his pants off in advance. Actually, the guy is visiting from Florida, and I'm like, and so I had arranged to go to Gary's field, and it's snowing that morning, and I get a call from one of the other guys saying, hey, should we cancel? Are those guys going to do it? I'm like, oh no, we're taking the Florida boys picking while it's snowing. They got to call on these
Hell
trailers.
yeah.
Like, this is like just a dream.
I
Nice.
will tell you in regards to American Pickers, I don't know if I should have said that, but we do have, just to be vague, we do have a machine that was featured on the show because we picked someplace that they had picked, and we intentionally bought something that was prominently evident in the episode so that we could later say, that is what we got there.
That's
that
funny.
was kind of
That's
cool.
funny. I also
Nice.
like to welcome Mike's hair to the show. It's it's quite good.
It is.
You know,
I mean,
glad I have
congratulations on those genetics there, sir.
Yeah. Us guys that are pushing 50, with hair, we're just thankful. That's all I can say.
I keep watering it. I don't know. It's not making any difference.
I bet you Mike's right around the same age as me, maybe a little tiny bit younger. Look at
I'm
that guy.
13.
Look at that.
See.
Look at that guy. He's got that glow. That young boy glow that he's been picking so many years. Yeah. Oh, this is getting
Adam
weird. This is getting
becoming
weird.
enamored. Oh,
Oh, this is getting kind of weird. Okay,
Nope.
and now to the hey.
then what's our next segment?
Oh, we do have segments on the show.
Yes.
We've segmented the show so that people can enjoy it more.
Right. Or skip to the next segment.
Here we go.
I always felt that the true stars at Atari was engineering.
Oh, you're an inventor.
Yes, I am.
What have you invented?
A lot of things.
Like?
Like a lot of things. Like things that you've heard of.
Like?
Well, things that you will have heard of, okay? Patents are pending.
Arcade Gadgets with Brian McCloud.
Welcome to the Gadget Segment. So I've got 3 gadgets for you tonight. First off, for those of you who have Gottlieb cabinets, you're missing hinges, control panel side brackets, or the front control panel brackets, Takeman has got you covered. He's got those over on KLV. various prices plus shipping. Metal prices have gone up, so they're not cheap. Hinges for the back are $50 a pair, but everybody knows Takeman does some great quality stuff. Also over on KLOV, Mystic Marathon side art stencils. All 10 people are going to want these. So, I mean, this is one of those things that it is, I mean, this is, on one hand, it's like, why do you do this? And then I look at it and go, well, why did I make like, half the artwork that I did? So it's pretty awesome. Somebody did a full stencil set, 3 colors, 6 stencils, 3 for each side, single use. I believe they are $200 for the set. So if you have plans of doing a Mystic Marathon, they're limited time only, also over on KLOV. And finally, Forgotten Worlds Spinner Repro, done by the guys over in Turkey. He goes by the name Hersit on Arcade Projects, but they've released this. These are $200 a piece. They've also made a variety of panels for Blast Cities. For those of you who don't know what a Blast City is, it is a Japanese candy-style cabinet. If you don't know what that is, Google it. So if
you don't know what that is, Google it.
Yeah, these spinners work with the Forgotten Worlds. They're an exact repro minus the little Capcom button on the top. They have kind of a nice shiny aluminum top spinner, and they also work with the Darksoft CPS1 multi-system. So those are the gadgets for the day.
Oh, wow.
The Arcade News, arcades, pinball, industry alumni, arcade openings, selecting, celebrities, world record holders, operators, coin-out, conventions. The Arcade News.
We interrupt the ventilated element.
And now, the Arcade News with
yeah. I always, hey, it's me, Adam Last Namaya. It's good to have you with us here on the news. From X. New Wave Toys announces first arcade machine for Replicade Wave 2 Space Ace X Replicade. And the nice thing about this is there's 2 models, not just one. So they're having, everybody knows they did the Dragon's Lair. Everybody know what we're talking about, first of all?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so New Wave Toys has this line of Quarter Arcade does their version, right? They're pretty cool. They're like little arcade games, and we featured a couple of them on the show a couple times, but I showed off my Dragon's Lair, and Mark and I foolishly bought 2 Cubert.
When is it showing up? Dang it.
I don't know. Chip shortage, containers from China, right. People being friends with Russians, Russian attacking Ukraine. It's done. It's not looking good. So anyway, this year marks the 40th anniversary of Don Bluth's Dragon's Lair and Space Ace classic arcade cabinets. To commemorate the occasion, New Wave Toys has announced the Space Ace X Replicade, the first arcade machine of Replicade Wave 2. New Wave Toys has also done Replicade for Asteroids, Cubert, Street Fighter, 1942 and 43, and Missile Command. So Space Ace is the spiritual sequel to Dragon's Lair and plays the same. The player has to make the right move in the order for the game to continue. And I kind of like this because it ties into a story that Mike told me yesterday. Mike, can you tell us a little bit about your son's playing style?
Well, my son Will, when he was, I think, 2, loved to play Dragon's Lair with his feet. So
what?
Yeah, he's on the spectrum, and he loved Dragon's Lair, and he would get up there with his foot and he could get all the way almost to the dragon, so he could get further than I could.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're coming out with that. If you guys are familiar, they have all the details that the previous versions of their games do, except for they're doing a stamped metal coin door. This time it's going to be Cinematronics coin door, so that's kind of cool, I think.
I'm going to buy. I'm going to have, they're going to get so much of my money.
Oh, and they also will have the mini prop replica of the LDV 1000 Laserdisc player again, which is kind of cool. So if you didn't get the Dragon's Lair and these things, but I don't know why they appreciate so much, but you pay $150 for it right now.
Right.
And in 2 years, it'll be worth $500. You could sell it and get.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And you can send that repro LV 1000 to this guy named Franz, and he will keep it forever and never return it to you. I don't know if anybody does anybody know this story at all? So
I did listen
Hello,
to.
this is Franz. Old Arcade Outsiders story.
Did he ever get the thing back?
He never got it back.
That's hilarious.
John Jacobson sent his Dragon Slayer Blazers player
Yeah.
to a guy somewhere in, I guess, the Netherlands.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember listening to several episodes, skipping over episodes, and every episode he's like, I don't think I'm getting it back.
Yeah, you're not getting it back. Did you ever listen to the episodes where he thought Mark Wahlberg was following him?
Oh, yeah. I listened to that first one, and he was freaking out.
So just for clarity, I ran Mark Wahlberg's social media account, so it was me screwing around with John Jacobson.
We like that. So PCGamer.com says Atari buys video game database MobyGames for $1.5 million, which actually that seems like not a lot of money in today's world, but also Atari has no money.
Did they pay for it with NFTs or something?
With their own Atari Bitcoin. But yeah, like, by the way, the new CEO of Atari is from Minnesota, if you look it up.
Oh yeah. He's from way up north. Anyway, let's have him on the show then, eh?
Yeah, totally. So anyway, no, it's fairly uninteresting, but Jeremiah Freiholtz, who has been running MobyGames, which I don't know if I've stumbled on their website.
Me too.
I don't go to it for anything, but sometimes it shows up in a Google search.
Right, those bastards with their page ranking
Right.
prowess.
So somehow he sold Atari on this database. It's okay.
Suckers.
Yeah. We used to sell wares and ROMs, but now we can't do anything. It just says MobyGames, $1.5 million. Hey,
wow.
It's almost as good as the guy that got money for Wordle.
Wordle. Oh my God. That's
New York Times approached him for allegedly $4 million.
Wow.
Yeah, for a game that he just like made for his kids. I mean, how Mark, you're a coder. You know, you've been a coder for 20 years.
Yeah.
How many times have you been laying there in bed thinking, I gotta write the ultimate app?
So me and my dad wrote the disk restore CD. You know.
Yeah.
The CD-ROM was like a brand new thing. This was like in 1985.
Sure.
And my dad's like, you know, we keep having to restore hard drives on machines that are in the store, and I'm like, I'm tired of it. I don't want to have to send people out. We're just gonna why don't we put all of the bricks, that's what they call the compressed version of what goes on the machine, onto a CD, and then have the CD figure out what machine it is and then just put it on. So I wrote the program, and he, you know, gave it to the distribution people, and they were like, holy crap, this is amazing. And then we didn't get anything out of that. And so every time you got a computer with a restore CD, me and my dad, that was our idea.
Oh, my God.
Yes. We didn't get shit.
Yeah. That's the breaks.
Oh, well.
All right. We have another section we like to do. It's called
Back in 82,
I
used to be able to throw a pigskin quarter mile.
Back to the Cade with
Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
Hey, everybody.
This
is the Back to the Cade segment. I hope we're able to do it today, considering I set up some stuff that we're not going to be able to play. But but before that, let's talk about 1985. Sting, the singer, has said that his song from 1985, Russians, is more relevant than ever due to the war in Ukraine. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so true. I didn't even think about that. Like when you hear that song, you're like, oh, that's pretty good. You know? Anyway, he never plays it. So it's kind of an interesting thing that he went and talked about it. It's off his debut solo album, Dream of the Blue Turtles. If you have not heard it yet, go get it. It is a great album.
If you haven't heard it yet, you're in for a treat.
True. I mean, it's like a lot of people were like, oh, I like the Police. And I'm like, no, dude, Sting also did stuff by himself. He still does.
Yep.
It would be amazing if he did things with the Police themselves, but, you know. Yeah. Anyway, so long story short, he, in a caption he recently posted on Instagram, he said, I've only rarely sung the song in the many years since it was written because I never thought it would be relevant again. And I mean, me too, right? But in the caption, hold on, actually, I have to scroll over. My web page is not big enough. But in the light of one man's bloody and woefully misguided decision to invade a peaceful and threatening neighbor, the song is once again a plea for our common humanity, for the brave Ukrainians fighting against the brutal tyranny, and also the many Russians who are protesting the outrage despite the threat of arrest and imprisonment.
And I would
stop the war.
Yeah, and I would play a clip for you, except for we would get banned. So.
We can't do it, so we're just going to talk about it. But I think it's kind of cool, like Sting has this song that he wrote that, the context is like now relevant again. It's kind of neat. Not a lot of people write a lot of songs like that, especially not in that time, right? Like totally in the 70s, like during the Vietnam War and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's kind of cool. So that was back to the Cade segment where I talk about something relevant to the past as if you're like in 1985. And then, wait, so Adam, what are we doing here? Are we just going to skip?
No, we could do it. We could do it.
We're going to do it? Okay, now, so this is probably the last time we will ever have samples from music. I purposely went and got like really short, strange samples from songs, and so essentially, well, first let's play my little theme song here. We could do that.
Oh, well, that's not the right theme song at all.
I was like, a new intro to it.
Someone sat on the board again. Yeah,
let's get the button straight.
Well, we used to have this segment called What's in the Juke?
Yeah. Welcome to the Season 6 edition of What's in the Juke. It's the game within a podcast. Today, we feature super short, isolated vocals from top 10 80s songs. If you can guess the title of the song, you will get...
Typhoid Mary.
You will get...
Half point.
Yeah. If you can guess the name of the group, of the artist, you will also get...
Syphilis.
Oh!
Full point.
If you can guess both... No, wait. No, you just told them full point. That's for both.
Half point.
Damn it, you're ahead. Okay, find it out amongst yourself. Let's start. There are 11, so if Adam doesn't like one, he can skip one.
First of all, we do have a problem with this segment. We're gonna probably end up doing this one last time, and I would expect us to get muted again.
Yep.
Because that's how we roll. We like to get muted. We like to be silenced.
Oh yeah, I'd love to be silenced for 5 to 6 minutes.
I mean, last time did they like? I didn't go back and look at the episode. Did they?
I did. They silenced us when the What's in the Juke music played.
But not the rest of it.
No, for about 2 minutes after that, and then the rest of it was fine.
Okay, so the shorter clips they didn't have a problem with.
Isn't that strange? Yes, that's correct.
That seems odd.
It is odd. When you try to entertain people with tiny clips of music. Anyway, so I ran these clips from the full song through an AI, and it just picked out only the vocals. And the AI is really, really good. You'll be impressed.
Well, I mean, I had fun with the last set you did. They were quite fun.
This is even better.
All right. Well, let's see if we get banned. Here comes your first track.
Okay.
When they play their music, ooh, that modern music.
That's
I'm
only gonna play it once. That's good. I like it. So who's in the chat first?
Well, we have a lot of people. They're looking. It
Mike
seems
Page.
that Mike Page got Huey Lewis first.
Nice.
And we're looking for a song. Everybody keeps saying Huey Lewis. That is not the song. You're good there. So Mike Page definitely got a half point for that.
Sports is the album.
It is.
Cleve Freely.
Oh, right.
Cliff Freely.
CLY Freely.
All right.
Heartbeat of rock and roll. That's close enough. I mean, it is heart of rock and roll, but that's
nice. Right. Well, when no one else guesses, they have the advantage. Okay.
Yeah.
Here comes your next track.
The sweat of the body covers me.
That's a good one. I like that one a lot.
Thank you.
Right now, the people that are responsible for this man's death are being sued by lots of other people.
Good. I see Whiskey Flipper. Yeah, first one with Prince.
Oh, nice.
And
yes, full point.
All right. Full point. All right, we got a real fight going here. Okay, here comes your next track.
The 80s.
I'm not doing.
Yeah, that's enough.
That's it.
It's so weird just hearing the voice.
Drosen.
Madonna.
Oh.
All right, Joe Drosen. Manada.
Manada.
That's close enough.
I don't know if that's close enough. That's.
Are you one of the?
That's borderline. I'm not really sure.
That was funny.
Okay, yeah. So
I gave it to him, and I gave Cliff Reilly a half point too.
All right, nice. And we got a half point for Mike Page for borderline. Oh no, it was Fraley, so he gets a point and a half.
Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah, I got them both.
Clive Fraley, nice.
I love it when Brian keeps track of score.
Scuba King is complaining about the lag. That is part of the game.
Yeah.
Restart.
By the way,
browser.
yeah, Clive Fraley. He could be like the 5th member of Kiss.
That's true.
Clive Fraley. Right.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
Right after Ace Frehley. Right?
Yeah.
Gene Simmons, Ace Frehley.
I get it.
Clive Fraley. They're all part of the same band.
Mm-hmm.
Mike's like, what the hell's going on here?
What is happening? Play the next clip.
How do we get into this show anyway? Like, this is where
some guy shows up at our.
He's like, I hope my kids aren't watching
this.
this.
To be on a show. What?
Right.
You.
Okay, here comes your next track.
Well, she's deceiving me.
She cuts my security.
Social Security?
Social Security? Well, she's deceiving me. Social Security. That is Corey Hart, not Bruce Springsteen. Corey Hart, Grinwing, right?
And Whiskey Flipper. No, I think
Whiskey Flipper got Corey and sunglasses.
Glasses.
No.
Full point.
Nice.
Amazing.
All right, next.
And he was complaining about the lag. Sorry, go ahead.
Next track.
Suitcase of memories.
It's nice when you get the isolated vocal because you can actually hear what she's saying. Because when I was a kid, I thought she was saying "soon came some memories," but it's actually "suitcase."
Oh.
And I'd play it again, except for "We'll Get Banned."
Right, don't play it again.
I'm gonna give that to Darren Kuda.
All right, half point.
Half point.
Yep.
Nice, Dan.
All right.
And
Way to step it
Mike
up.
Page with the Mr. Peabody. Sorry, with the
All
time
right,
after time.
nice. And actually, this next track, we heard this in Arizona because we were having a hard time finding a station to listen to stuff, and I said, let's turn on the groove, and this came on.
Oh, maybe he's no Romeo.
And I'll tell you, that's from the movie Footloose.
What?
Yeah, it is from the movie Footloose.
Are you sure?
100%. 1984.
Oh my god.
Grinwing for a half point.
Yep,
Yeah.
let's hear it for the boy.
Yep.
But has anybody gotten the artist yet? Let's see.
Yeah,
She wasn't super popular. Sheena Easton, you would think, but no, not her.
This is sort of a one thing for her. Denise
Correct.
Williams, Joe Drosen.
Good job,
Drosen
Joe
nailed
Drosen.
it.
Point.
Good.
Nice. And spelled Denise correctly, too.
All right. No, he didn't.
Close enough.
Close enough. Okay, so the next track.
Wake up, open up your heart, and the truth comes out.
Man, those guys don't sound good without backing stuff.
No, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So, say it.
Romantics.
Yes.
Oh, hey.
Oh, there we
They
go.
can-
Look, I think our guests are on the board.
All right.
Half point.
Half point for the guests. The Romantics is correct. We're going to give points to people who said it anyway. Talking with your sheep is not the right answer. Okay. Talking in your sleep, the romantics. There's some half points in there.
Half point.
Good job. All right.
Proc got it.
Here comes your next track.
An invisible man sleeping in your bed.
I like that one. That's good.
Darren Kuda and Whiskey Flipper. Now we have Whiskey Flipper with 2.5, followed by a four-way tie for second place. Mike Page, Clive Fraley, Joe Drosten, Derek Kuda, followed by a four-way tie for third place with Mr. Peabody, Grinwing, Mike, and Proc.
So much fighting.
Okay, there's only 3 tracks left. Here comes your. This next track is from a film called.
I got this feeling.
Gotta get.
Tapper.
Footloose is correct. Kenny Loggins is correct. The king of soundtracks. That's a half point.
Half point
for both those fellas. Okay, comes your next track.
And when she knows what she wants from her.
What?
Boy, that one. I think that one will be the one that kills us.
I don't know. I feel pretty good about you.
Grinwing.
Nice.
And Clive Fraley.
All right.
His voice is just so good.
Half point.
You know, I love early Billy Joel.
Yeah.
It
reminds me of Step Brothers. Remember how no, you only sing early Billy Joel. Remember that?
I love that movie. I bought the Pablo Cruz T-shirt that Will Ferrell's wearing. Freaking hilarious. Okay, and I also like Pablo Cruz, so that's kind of funny.
Nice.
Here comes your last track. Certainly, we should get banned for this.
I got a callus on my finger and my shoulder's hurting too.
Wow. That is, I think that's my favorite isolated vocal ever.
Yeah.
Is that
really?
He's complaining about his finger and his shoulder. I see.
Pac-Man Fever is correct. Buckner and Garcia is also correct.
And the final totals here.
Yes.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
We got Whiskey Flipper with 3 points. Clive Fraley pulls up second place with 2 points.
Wow.
And Joe Drosten pulls off a miracle third place with 1.5 points.
All right.
It was heated. The next place, fourth place, was a 4-way tie. And fifth place was a 2-way tie.
We're going to give ourselves a round of applause for that one.
All right, guys. Good job.
All right. That brings us to this other section we like to do, we like to see if anyone's left a voicemail.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Because often they do.
Do they?
Well,
at least one person.
The last time we did this, one people.
Yes.
I've started doing that. I've started to laugh more like the guy from Revenge of the Nerds lately.
You know what? I laugh like a friend of mine now. I don't know what happened.
I don't know. Or like what's his name? Chet from Weird Science.
Dickweed. Oh man, Chet's so good. From Weird Science, do you mean? Or
yeah. And Bill Paxton.
Such a classic.
Yeah. Did you read that article last week about him?
No, I would love to.
So I'll just paraphrase, but basically his estate sued the surgeon because they did an experimental heart surgery on him, and they held him liable. So I don't know the name of the surgeon, but it's a shame because I knew that he had heart surgery and there were complications, and then he died. But with modern medicine, especially in California, you think, or the Mayo Clinic around with all these famous people flying in, that he would have made it. But
I don't know. I feel like your heart is like the CPU. That is the most difficult surgery.
Sure.
So it's the riskiest. I mean,
your brain is probably more like the CPU.
True, but this is the sort of the power supply, I guess, for your brain.
Yeah.
What does Brian think? I mean, let's ask the surgeon.
The heart has to pump the blood to the bones.
Yes.
That's the orthopedic surgeon mentality.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so we have this guy that calls in. Let's see if he called in. He probably did.
Maybe.
Thank you for calling 612-548-GAME. This is Arcade Radio. Please leave your message after the tone.
Hey everybody, it's your buddy, Bob Zarzadek, control panel expert and technician. So, I'm back in the good old USA with my new girlfriend, Yara. She's been teaching me a bunch of cool Ukrainian phrases. Like, hey, may I borrow your wallet? And, hey, I want to go to the gym, but not with you. It's awesome. I'm like totally bilingual now. Hey, watch out, dog whisperer. I have no idea what that means. Hey, so hopefully soon I'll have enough money saved and I can buy myself a gallon of gasoline so we can go out and party. All the gas that I had saved, in my storage container is technically spoken for by a trucker that I met in Budapest, but, that's a long story, so I'm going to cut myself off here. So, hey, you guys have a great show with your guests, Mike and Brett from Supernova. That sounds a lot like an awesome company to work at. Do they play like that Oasis song, Champagne Supernova, 24/7, I wonder? Huh. That reminds me, there's a drinking game we used to play where you had to drink an entire bottle of champagne by yourself before that song ended. Yeah, check it out. That song is like 8 minutes long, dude. Holy cow. I don't remember anything after that game was over. Hey, so I'm out of here, fellas. You have a good one. Zarzadek out.
Oh. That was nice of him to call.
That is nice. And that is a real drinking game, by the way. That song is 7 minutes and 42 seconds long. And I don't know if it's wise to drink an entire bottle of champagne in that amount of time, but
I really wanted to slam the phone on him,
Oh.
Well, yeah.
Oh.
That sounds like I'm clocking someone with the phone.
Right.
So somebody's been playing with
like,
his buttons.
Yeah.
Oh.
That one hurt. Okay. Now let's do this thing we like to call the interview.
The interview.
Yeah.
What?
They haven't even met him yet. I mean, that's just mean.
God.
Gosh. Anyway, we do need to welcome both Mike Freeland and Mr. Brett Furing back to the show for their very own special interrogation. Guys, thanks for being on the show.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So let's just kick off. Each of you tell us who you are. Well, we know who you are, but tell us in a way who you are and what your business is.
Explain yourself.
Explain yourself. And there's a swinging. If the audience could just imagine a single swinging light, and Mark with his fisticuffs on, and me
How did you get here?
And I have 2 rolls of quarters, and you guys have to answer all the questions.
Oh.
Well, I will just say I'm Brett, and we're from the Kansas City area. We've always been interested in video games in general. I started as a home video game collector, basically for the nostalgia. I was in engineering school, and I was interested in fixing things, so the next step was let's get full-size arcade machines to work on. And our paths crossed through the local community. We have a great local collecting community here. Almost everyone gets along. There's everybody shares road trips together. We pick together. We go to auctions together. It's awesome in the Kansas City area. And when we crossed paths years ago in the 90s, we decided to start flipping machines. And it wasn't until the more recent history, within the last 10 years, where we decided to keep everything that we came across and turn it into a business for ourselves.
And that business became
Supernova Vending.
Supernova Vending, which is now has the Arcade Supernova and Supernova Retro Arcade and some other names and whatnot. So how many locations do you have?
We have 4 locations right now. We lost a couple during COVID, but we just opened up Richmond, Virginia with Cade, who's our partner here in Kansas City. They have comedy clubs in Ohio and Virginia and Kansas City, and that they are a great partner. And then we've got Arcade Alley in downtown Lee Summit, Missouri, which is a fantastic historic downtown area. I've got a lot of good friends in business down there, and very fortunate to, especially the past 2 years, they've been trucking along, and like everybody, we're ready to get to the end of this hopefully, and excited to still be here.
Yeah, cool. So how many games do you provide for these locations?
I think we've got all in total close to 400 machines on location right now. So the oldest one being probably Space Invaders, 1978. And then we kind of tail off the collection. It used to, obviously, Brett and I, growing up in the 80s, you know, that's our love, is the golden age, but
pre-JAMA,
but we've expanded, and we go to the early 90s like a lot of people, and a lot of those games are great, especially the sequels, but it's just, I love 1978 to probably 84.
Yeah. So no Bronze Age.
No, we have lots of Bronze Age. We just don't operate that stuff on location.
Okay.
Our Pong that we have was operated by the former operator until just maybe like 5 years ago. And I don't know, we're trying to get more bronze stuff working. It's just a matter of, you know, our arcades are open. A lot of them are open 7 days a week. So
yeah,
it's a labor of love keeping color raster monitors working. Black and white Bronze Age as a whole, we're not quite there yet, but hopefully we will be.
And so go ahead.
You guys said, just to give people an idea, so you have 400 games on location. About how many games total do you guys have, like, just in general?
Well, that's an embarrassing question, Brian, because
I know.
it is a problem for us.
Oh no!
I would guess we're close to 1,000 games in storage.
Yeah,
and maybe 30 to 40% would, you know, fire right up. Others would need lots of tweaks and that kind of thing, all the way to full restorations. But we tend to hoard, and it's a problem. We understand.
Well, no, I mean, the problem is just the only problem with hoarding is finding enough space to do that. And you guys have a brilliant solution, which we can talk about. But so I wanted to just, like, some context. When you guys say we want to put Bronze Age stuff out on location, it's not that when we figure it out, it's not that you got to find the games. You've got them. You're in the process of working through that, you know, and that's what's awesome. You know, I mean, it is impressive. It's not embarrassing. It is impressive to everybody here. They would just be in heaven.
Yeah. I'm kind of like in the same boat you guys are with your era of games. A couple of games that I have in my collection. I do have Atari Football and Atari Fire Truck, both fully functioning, restored. So those are fun. But they're 1976, 1978. So they're right in that wheelhouse too, you know. I did have a 280 Zap for a while. So going back to the original question that we asked Brett, Mike, same thing, right? You got into the collecting, then you kind of moved in that direction. What were each of your first games? What were your first collected games?
My first game, in March 1995. I'm a numbers geek, so I remember every number and I remember everything I pay for anything. Mm-hmm. I can't remember where the spatula goes in the kitchen still. Sorry, my wife. But I paid like $95 for a Time Pilot at auction. I still own it to this day. It's part of our collection now. It's in our Cade location in Perrysburg, Ohio. So we're both hoarders, but we're collectors, and that was my first game, was Time Pilot.
Nice.
My first game, we paid $40. My brother and I paid $40 for Mr. Dew's Castle.
Oh, cool.
and it had a 4600 monitor in it with the parallel the parallel rising boards on the back. Yes. And we figured out there was cold solder, which was why it was collapsed. And I found out if you wadded up paper towels and shoved it in there, it would hold it so that it was full deflection. And then when we sold the thing for like $110, I realized I'm going to do this for the rest of my life.
I have lots of paper towels.
I was just at my buddy's house on Monday, and Mr. Dew's Castle was on his multi that we built, and I discovered that I still have the high score on that game. I thought, that's funny because it's not my favorite game. And I'm terrible at it, but I'm like, I guess everyone else just sucks. It's a hard game. So
it is.
All the Mr. Do series are excellent games. They are very underrated.
Very well designed.
You mentioned, you said we have this, but we're collectors. So you guys have managed to kind of like hold on. A lot of people who operate, they lose that kind of collector spirit. So what have you guys done to? I mean, what keeps it going in you?
Yeah.
It's probably stubbornness a little bit, and
the thrill of the hunt is a driver for me. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, every time we go, we love fixing games, we love restoring games, we love putting them on location. That's very rewarding. But there's nothing like firing up a game for the first time, or finding something that you don't have is. Brett and I are both probably the same personalities of like we want the entire collection. So that's where, even back to Bronze Age, we passed on that stuff for the first 15 years. And then maybe 10 years ago, it started dawning on us like, it's pretty hard to find this stuff. When it works, it's really cool. And we better start finding a way to find it and be able to keep it. So back to answering your question too, we ended up finding a store. Well, we had a warehouse and storage and phones and no, I'm just kidding. But we were tired of paying, like everybody, you get tired of paying rent, and you're just like, we have to find a way to make a solution from this. And so we made an offer to buy our storage facility, and that proved to be very valuable, not just because now we can store our machines for practically nothing, but with COVID, when all the locations shut down and our revenue went to zero there for a couple months, we were able to absolve that because we actually had paying clients in storage. But we could have a lot more paying clients if we would get rid of our games. But of course, that's why we have the storage facility.
Well, but I mean, that's a brilliant idea, right? I mean, like, honey, why are you paying for the storage? You know what? I'm just going to go buy the storage facility. I got an idea.
That is brilliant.
Let's like flip this on end.
Right.
It's easier said than done. We've been very lucky and fortuitous, and storage facilities are like one of the hottest commodities. I mean, every time my phone rings, it's like somebody wanting to buy the storage facility. It's like, it's not for sale.
Yeah.
And with real estate hot right now too, the timing was perfect for us in 2017-18, and we're very, very fortunate because now we can store thousands of video games in our storage unit.
And I had the opportunity to visit, and it's not just, games, but you guys have a storage unit of control panels and a storage unit of, it's like you have like, okay, most people have like a shelf or a box, like I've got my extra control panels. This is full size. Let's go in the garage here. Control panels.
So Darren Kuda mentioned that one of the unique things about your storage facility is that you are not the only collector storing games.
That is true.
We tend to give discounts for arcade collectors because
smart.
We're kind of partial to them. So
yeah, friends discount. Yeah.
And that way, if they default on it too, you get a bunch of new games.
No,
what? That's brilliant, Adam. That's brilliant.
We never thought of that.
When the collectors come over, a lot of times we roll up our shop garages and we're all out there working on stuff, and it's kind of, not only is it getting progress on getting the machines fixed, but also everybody has a good time and we hang out, and even some of our renters that are collectors are from all the way across 45 minutes away, but they come up north to store their machines and hang out a little bit, and it's a good thing all around.
Oh man, that sounds awesome. I mean, I only knew one other collector in Conroe, Texas. I'm like, dude, if we could just go 200 more miles, this would be great. So
right.
I'm pretty sure a lot of the collectors that we know are obsessive because, like, when I first met Brett's like, I've got some machines I'm going to go buy. Why don't you come with me? Like, he just invited me, and next thing you know, like 28 years later, whatever, we're still buying machines. And so we just last weekend took a new collector. We're like, you should come with us. And he's like, what? I can come with you? And I'm like, yep, come with us. And all of a sudden it was like, did he have a good time? And he was just like, I'm a kid in a candy store. I mean, we were freestyling and we were finding pinball machines and video games and, board sets. And it's just, to find that stuff in the wild is just like Brett said earlier, the thrill of the hunt is extremely exciting.
And as a side note on Matt, if you're listening, because he said he might, he came with us last week for his first pick, and he was just flabbergasted. And then last night he was calling me, telling me he's already found some machines at an undisclosed location, about 5 storage units full, that he's going to start working to try to get those.
Wow.
Yeah. Nice work.
We
contagious.
I would like to say there's a difference between the collecting community in Kansas City and in Minnesota. I'm just going to leave it at that.
There, it isn't as friendly in Minnesota, but there is stuff. You get stuff from Mankato, our friend down there, Steve Murky.
Okay, we have a group of us that are pretty close, right? And then there are some people that we don't like to tell about anything. And my
stuff
friend
goes quick.
Yeah, and Steve, our good friend Steve, he tips me off all the time, and I have no money and I have some money, but I don't have any space. But now I have an idea.
Yeah, there you go.
Not everybody may think we're friendly, though, because occasionally we were at a farm auction a couple years ago with 30 or 40 machines. And I'm just like, we are going to buy all these things. And when they auction the farm equipment, they auction the house, they get to the arcade machines, and they said, we're going to start bidding on this. And I just held up my bidder card, and I didn't let it down. And people just like were walking away, and they were frustrated. And all of a sudden, like, one couple came up to us and they're like, we really wanted a game. We're like, which one? And they said the Space Invaders. And we're like, you can have that one. So but other people probably thought we bought them all. And then the funny part about that story is we had a smaller trailer that day and we weren't expecting to buy 35 video games. So we had to make multiple trips, 2 hours round trip, and we get to the final load, and they wrote bidder number 106 on every machine because was our bidder number. And then at the very end, we had a couple machines left, and we're just like, well, let's take the parts off, let's smash up the cabinets. And granted,
because they didn't fit and they were the roughest. Yep.
They were the roughest. One had a dead raccoon in it or whatever, but it was still maybe something. But
was it a beef jerky raccoon? I'm very interested.
Brett has this problem with finding dead marsupials.
Oh no!
But he smashed up the Defender cabinet, and all of a sudden he's like, why does this one have a different bidder number on it? And we realized we actually didn't buy that one.
Oh, no.
So,
because when you're smashing up a few machines in a row and you just loaded 35 and you didn't buy 2 or 3 of them, you kind of get confused. And I did smash up somebody else.
So if bidder 175 from Carrollton farm auction from 2018 is in the audience, we will give you your Defender back.
That guy's probably right now going, damn it, I need to get that machine.
Or worse yet, if he'll stumble on this episode like 5 years from now.
Son of a bitch. Oh, wait.
Was there a Smash TV in that auction?
No, there was a Cinestar, a Nibbler. There was some good stuff in it, though.
There was a Smash TV at a farm auction that I tried to get, and it just all the machines went to one person. I can't remember where it was, though. It was a 19-inch, and I was kind of like, oh, that'd be awesome to have.
Oh, that was us in a different auction.
Yeah, probably.
Just face it, Brian.
Yeah.
That is how I did get my Omega Race cockpit doing that. Actually, it's funny. I had a deal with the guy, a friend of mine, and he said he wanted it for less than $1,000. And so I let him bid up to 1,000. As soon as it hit $1,010, I just stood there looking at the guy the other guy was bidding against him like this with my card. And I just stared at him. Mm-hmm. And that was it. We got up to like 1,100 done.
Just a note from the chat, first time chat from viewer Adam Babam. This is Adam. Mike and Brett, you are all awesome. Thanks for being great mentors. So
Adam was with us last weekend too when we were digging.
He was the one that climbed inside the stern cabinet.
That's where
Bob Zarzadek lived inside a stern cabinet for a while.
He did, right.
So Mark, we have a couple of questions that we normally ask, but like I think we've kind of already got the answer to the when you were a youth, you know. But when you guys were super young, tell us about the arcades you went to.
Yes.
Well, my earliest arcade memories, my dad took me to a C&K drive-in, which was like a little ice cream shop. I remember him playing Space Invaders. I remember him, even when Pac-Man came out, like getting quarters and my mother being like, don't spend all the money on Pac-Man. And it was like, this kind of inner struggle of like, I'm sure 25 cents was a lot back then, but I used to walk up with my friend Mike Middleton. We used to walk up to the historic square, which was the square at the time, and they had the Electric Company arcade. And I remember going in, and there was neons and a Star Wars cockpit and a Journey Upright, and just was like, from all my memories, like I just remember the neon and the color vector game of Star Wars, and just that was probably 1983, I think, was when that was. So I was 10 years old. So it was. I still want to find that Electric Company arcade neon sign or have it made someday, because that was my childhood arcade. Brett?
And then for me, I grew up in Central Florida, and I was mostly outdoors all the time. But the convenience store where I would buy my fish bait, they had an elevator action, a Xevious, Double Dragon. I think that's maybe one more. I can't quite remember. But I always thought, I'd like to, have a video game myself one day, but I never thought it was possible because everybody thinks, who has something like that, And but then we had Atari, like all of our friends, and that's what got me started. Is I tried to get as many Atari games as I could, and anything I didn't have, I was always after. And the next thing you know, when you realize you can buy arcade machines, then it just transferred over, and off we went.
It's over after that.
Yeah.
Hey, so sometimes we ask our guests, was there ever a time that you stopped playing arcade games, like during your youth,
or even as an adult?
As an adult.
There was 2 times for sure. I went to the Monsters of Rock concert in 1988, and there was a lot of exposed breasts, and I was 14, and I kind of shifted gears to rock and roll, I think.
Yeah.
So, thought it was pretty good. Those
darn anatomy things.
And for me, honestly, I didn't play a whole lot because I only got quarters every once in a while for my parents to go to the arcade at the mall, and a lot of times I spent a lot of time watching. So it kind of developed a yearning in me to be like, I wish I could do more of this and more of that. And honestly, since I like troubleshooting and repair, that's the more exciting part to me, is to bring something back to life, because I feel like I'm letting something that should be trash, because it doesn't work anymore, let it have a new life, kind of that feeling in me. I hardly ever play anything anymore because I'm just too busy trying to get them working,
Well, and I'll second that comment. The other time was after my youngest son was born in 2006, at one point you wake up and you're just like, okay, the kids are sharing a room because I have 100 video games in my house. This doesn't really make sense. We're struggling, that year might not have been the best year in business. So with my other business, and so like maybe I need to sell some machines. So in like 2007, 2008, Brett and I had been collecting and flipping and then restoring, and that's how we, you buy 10 games and you keep one, and you sell one to pay for 3 others that you want. And so it was just kind of like this constant snowball. And by 2006, 2007, I was just like, I was almost burned out because I hated every machine we ever sold. We probably sold 2,000 machines in a 10-year period.
Wow.
We would go to every auction. We would drive around the country to Tennessee and Dallas and Des Moines, and always would take a trailer load of games and buy a trailer load. And it was so much fun, but just the fact that, we had to sell them, and get rid of them was just so demoralizing for me that I just had to like take a couple years off. And that's when it was like, I was, to go off on my tangent a little bit on my story, which then I bring Brett back in, because Brett and I did everything together the first 10 years that I collected. But I never took any risk. I really wanted to open up. I remember going up to the St. Louis by the Arch, was the video game Hall of Fame in 1995 or 96. And I'm like, this is what I want. I was blown away. I'm like, these guys did it. I want to do an arcade. And so I wanted to do it, but I was too scared to take the risk. And then once again, after my youngest was born, I took a little break, and I just was like, I'm tired of restoring and flipping. And then the markets crashed in 2008, and things went crazy. And I thought I was going to maybe, lose my business for a little bit, my photography business that I've done for 30 years. And I was just like, I'm not taking any risk. And I thought I was going to lose everything. And I'm like, if this is the way it is, I want to do this. And so in 2009, my nephew moved up from Texas, and we were going to open up an arcade. He came up with the name Supernova. It was going to be a barcade. Back in 2008, 2009, there wasn't a lot of classic arcades around.
Yeah.
And so as a sandbox, I look back now, and it was a blessing. I didn't lose my ass. I didn't, lose a fortune. But in a 3 or 4 year period, I figured out really quickly, like, I loved to put games on locations, but I knew nothing about running the restaurant business. I knew nothing about running a bar. It was really, really hard to find partners. And when we found our first successful partner, I got over my head, and I called Brett, and I said, Brett, I need your expertise on, troubleshooting and your technical skills. And that's when we I'm like, I already have this cool logo, Supernova. Let's just, instead of making our own arcade, let's make it a vending company. And 2013, I think, was when Brett and I agreed to start working together. And by 2015, he was partners. And
nice.
But I've got several good friends that are like, man, you guys have great partners. You're so lucky. And I'm like, you have no idea how many bad partners we've had. And so business partners when it comes to, running locations. So if anyone's have tried to put, if anyone of the listeners have tried to put games on locations, it's tricky. So to find the perfect partner, and we've got 2 really, really strong partnerships right now. And one of them is the Draftcade location that, like I said, just launched. February 1st was the opening date in Richmond, Virginia. And it's gone
congratulations
very well
on that, by the way. So that's good. Mark, you had another one in the hopper.
I do. Your heroes in the arcade collecting hobby. Like, who do you look up to exactly? Like, I mean, I would look up to you technically, but like.
Well, I'll tell you somebody I look up to, and we've known him since the mid '90s. Is Troy Smith over in Illinois, in Decatur, Illinois. And the thing we like about him, or have liked about him, is because we had all the places that we go and all the connections that we know, but he back in the day was all over the place, and we would go into operators thinking we found something new, and they'd be like, oh, Troy Smith, him, he comes by here. So he kind of like set the bar high, and we started doing the same thing. But still to this day, we'll go all over the place, and Troy Smith has already been there for some reason.
Nice.
Well, and the name Gilbert Sanchez, I mean, we just went to an operator
Wolfman.
2 months ago, and they're like, Gilbert was here about 5 years ago, and he passed on the JAMA stuff. And I'm like, thank goodness he passed on the JAMA stuff, but he was the picker really for arcade stuff. Yep. Obviously for, other heroes too. I mean, just what Doc's done in Chicago and actually had his own place and have that many games is just amazing. John Hardy that helps run the National Video Game Museum. That's someone that's just
Frisco, Texas.
Yeah. Just talked to him many times about trying to figure out, that's the puzzle I'm trying to crack, is how to do that. And I know a lot of people want to do a museum, and a lot of people have, but that's kind of why we're still hoarding everything, is trying to figure out if we can figure out a way to keep that collection together.
Right. Wow.
And for those of you who don't know Gilbert Sanchez, he was known as Wolfman. And he used to pick a lot. He was mostly out of the West, wasn't he? I mean, he picked all over, but yeah. And he was actually introduced to me by another collector out of Colorado. And I can't remember what I bought from him in the end, or did I got something from him, but man, I got connected up with him, and it was just like, what he would find was unreal. I mean, he'd send pictures, and if you were one of the guys who got on kind of like the early list, you got this like preview of what was going on, which was nice. Yeah. I don't know how I got on that list, because I didn't spend nearly enough to be on there at the time. I was in residency. It's like, yeah, so that's more than I make in a year.
Oh man.
But he was a neat guy, and if you ever talked to him, it was very clear he had spent a lot of his life smoking. He had this,
I know what you're talking about.
Yep. Super nice guy though. And Troy, you guys are right. I mean, there are I found places like random off the wall places that I'm like I'm like, oh, there's no way anybody knows about this. You go in there and they're like, oh yeah, or I'll talk to Troy later and he'll be like, oh yeah, did you say hi to Joe there? I'm like, geez, I mean, how that?
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, how do you know this? The other thing that was funny about Troy, you guys will appreciate this. I missed an iRobot up in Oregon. And I told Troy, if you find an iRobot for this price, I'll take it. Calls me back 3 hours later. All right, I've got it in the trailer. PayPal me. I'm like, what the hell? He's like, well, we stopped at a buy and there was an iRobot sitting there. So I told the guy.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff he pulls off. It is impressive what he does.
Yeah.
So.
He gets really rare stuff. So
I've got some photos I'd like to go through and maybe you guys could just comment on them. Do you guys have a way to see what we're showing right now on the?
You have to have the Twitch muted.
Yeah. So if you can't, we'll just describe what's going on here.
Sure.
So,
okay.
Okay. So this is Supernova. You guys. The first picture I have is looks like Brett on top of a pile of games in a warehouse, which is pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Pure metal walls, no insulation.
That was from 2004. It was one of the biggest locations we've seen at that point. And we got to pick whatever we wanted.
Dragon's Lair, Sinistar in this photo.
There was all kinds of stuff. I'll tell you, they were $100 a piece.
Oh my
God.
And the worst part is we bought 16 machines, and on the way back we started calling people, and we sold the Man-Eater for $1,600, so we got all the other machines for free.
Wow.
And it took us forever to get Man-Eater back. We were kicking ourselves for selling that Man-Eater way back then in 2004. That was the biggest mistake I think we made.
Well, the other funny thing about that story was, I mean, there was hundreds and hundreds of maybe 500 or 1,000 games packed in this place. And Brett's like, anything rare or unique? And I was like, I've looked through it. Nope, I didn't see anything else. And he goes, are you sure? And I'm like, yep. And then he did a walkthrough and he counted 5 Joust cocktails that we bought. So I'm like, I guess I might have missed the Joust cocktails, but.
So whose red truck is that, and what model truck? Because it's a Ford, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a red 1997 truck, and then I bought a 2001 truck, and I mean, most of the miles in that truck were arcade related. It was.
That's a beautiful truck.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful truck. Yep, I finally put her out to rest when the wheel broke in half.
Truck life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily,
I love
was in a parking lot, not on the highway.
Oh, awkward. Yeah.
The F-150, man, with an extended cab. That's a nice truck.
Yeah, there is nice.
And then there's this one of someone washing games.
Oh boy.
What?
Yeah, there's a Tempest.
To show that because he's like, everyone's gonna get mad at me, but there was a find that we found, and there was so much mouse and raccoon poop over these machines. It was just like 3 or 4 inches thick, caked on, and there was no way to get it off. So we went to the car wash and
washed them off.
We were able to save a lot of parts, but the cabinets were. But see, now people build cabinets, so it's not as big of a problem. Back then.
Yeah.
It probably was, but.
The next one is of an off-road, and it looks like full of tires. There's like a bunch. It's like a.
It was an off-road in a construction area, and they had to pick it up with a forklift. So it was an off-road moving an off-road. I thought was kind of funny.
That is pretty. That's good. Then I see a nice death race here next to a power drive and a Nintendo cabinet.
That's one of the best scores we ever did. We were talking to a collector, and he said that he knew where a big warehouse was down in Texas, and he mentioned the city, and we Googled and tried to find, and we're like, well, wait a second, maybe it wasn't Texas, maybe it's Kansas. And we Googled and we found that city in Kansas. And so I started calling. I tried to find the Chamber of Commerce, and there wasn't a number I could find online. And so I called City Hall, and I was like, does the Chamber of Commerce meet there? And they said, yeah, on Tuesday nights. And I'm like, I'd really like to talk to the mayor. And the lady was like, okay, I'll transfer you. And the mayor of this town picked up and said, how can I help you? And I'm like, well, I heard about a vending company that went out of business. Someone had passed away. And he's like, oh, you're probably talking about Old Man Harding. And I'm like, do you have a phone number for him? And they're like, I don't know. Let me check. And he's like, well, here's a number and he somehow had a phone number. And I called and I left a message on the answer machine. And it was some lady. And then like 2 months later, the lady's father who owned the business at that time then called us, and we ended up buying 400 machines
Oof.
out of a building, and the Death Race was one of the ones. Death Race and Space Race were the real rare ones we got out of that.
Sweet.
But don't give up on calling the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
This next shot is one of your locations, probably one of your draft arcades.
Draftcade? Is that what you...
Draftcade, yep.
Draftcade.
Yes, I love that
Not
name.
to be confused with Tapcade or Crowncade or Barcade.
Right.
Right.
Hey, did you register Draftcade? Because that seems pretty deep. That's legit.
That it is a registered trademark.
Yes. Oh, excellent.
Yeah. And then you have a nice row of a Nintendo row with a couple of
beautiful
punch outs and stuff at the end, and then you got it's just very nicely. I love that there's a space to move around in here.
Yeah.
So it's our business partner. We won't mention the competing arcade, but he was like, "Have you ever been in there on a Friday night? It's so tight you can't move." And so when we plan a location, we are meeting with architects and the city planners, and we're getting everything to the electrical, to the layout, to make sure that we find that about if you can do 7 or 8 feet between games, that gives you 2 feet for the person to play, and then you've got about 3 or 4 feet for an actual aisle, which
that's the way to do it. It looks great.
It's nice to say that, but it's not always feasible if you don't have the space. So
right. The polished floor is beautiful, and really no evidence of power cables. It seems like they come off the wall, or like, how do you guys do that?
We run a 20 amp circuit for every 5 machines. They either come out of the floor or come down from the ceiling. If the ceiling's painted black, then we paint all the conduit black, and then everything's routed to a master. Brett's more the electrician guy. What's the relay that?
Yeah, it's like a contactor that turns things on with a light switch and then turns on banks of machines. Yeah.
Yeah, this looks like you run them between the machines all the way to the wall with probably 2 or 3 giant cables. Those looks great. And then, oh my gosh, this location, the Draftcade logo looks wonderful and clean. You're on a corner next to an improv place. What an awesome location.
Oh, and the Cade being like pixelized,
like 8-bit.
So beautiful.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
That is nice.
We can't take credit for all that. I mean, our partnership with the guys from Draftcade are amazing. Todd Lineback, who's the construction guru, there's nothing that he can't do. And Virginia was really tough for him. He's used to going in and getting a location. He's been in construction for 30 years, and he's used to going in and knocking out a place in 3 or 4 months. And it took him almost 13 months. There was one point where he bought every last piece of drywall at every Home Depot and Lowe's, and he still didn't have enough with the pandemic, you could not get supplies. Right. So we were supposed to open in September of last year and just open up in February, which was still not a bad delay, everything considering.
Right, sure. Now, this next picture is of a game room sign with incandescent bulbs. Looks pretty big, like probably about 12 feet wide.
That was 16 feet across, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, it took almost 6 of us to load that on a box truck, and then we had Fossil Forge and Lee Summit. They restored it with Gamma Neon, and it's actually hanging in our arcade in downtown Lee Summit, and it had the chasing lights. It is just a beautiful sign. They did shut off the chasing lights because they were a little bit concerned about people having seizures or whatever.
Oh,
I saw it with chasing lights, and hopefully part of our agreement there is that hopefully it'll never close, but we'll get the sign back someday if it doesn't survive. But that location is so strong, and that sign hanging there is just such a statement piece when you walk in to see it over the games.
An interesting side note: when we bought that sign, that's when Claw user K. Brank at that location got the tick that gave him Lyme disease. That sign to the truck. That is the location. You can see all the deep grass and stuff. It was outdoors in a field.
Yeah, there's a barn here with like a big boy on it, and
yeah, that's just being a photographer. Honestly, I wish I had a digital camera the first 10 years that we were picking, because there was so much that we saw. I've got pictures somewhere. I couldn't find them of, like, in my garage, I had like 7 Star Wars machines lined up at once. Or one time we had, I think, 5 Tron uprights and 4 Tron minis lined up in like the mid 90s. And just, I don't know, it's memories we've got, but just, I try to take as many pictures now as I can, just of the different things. I think right now there was, what's Scott's claw handle? Screwed. There was a picture of him going through a flea market with a machine. But
I have that up right now. Actually, it's got a Space Invaders cabaret or something here.
Yeah.
Just a casual day in the flea market.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm just gonna buy a cabaret. No big deal.
Yeah. This past weekend, we just went through an antique shop in South Missouri, and we found a Tomahawk 777 in a deco cabinet.
You might know what that was. That was the video of Brett with a Pac-Man machine on what looks like a Mushman.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a Cushman.
Your video driving.
Yeah.
That was from the Kansas City Star building. It was they hold newspapers on it for decades, and we bought it. We have it at storage, so now we can go out to the storage unit and put a Pac-Man machine on the back and drive it up to the. And it is an electric vehicle, by the way.
It's an EV.
Environmentally friendly.
Yeah, okay, here's a bear on fire.
You gotta go. But not only is it electric, you guys have a chair on there now, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we did. We put a chair on because sometimes you need 3 passengers. I told you collectors come over.
Right.
It's funny, when I was in Arizona, my stepfather is technically my stepfather. He has a golf cart, and he calls it the Tesla.
Well, but the funny thing about the chair on the back, it's not like a seat, like for a car. It's just a chair.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, I get it.
The fire that's going on right now. Is that what's on the Twitch feed?
Yes.
Yep.
Is that a bear?
There's no arcades were harmed in this.
But there's a bear in there.
However, with having a storage unit, we do have to have storage auctions, and it's amazing how many times people don't pick up everything. We've found a Vectrex in the box.
We did.
We found a Nintendo watch, and this is just kind of a funny side story, just how clever Brett is on solutions for things. That the first person that left all their crap in the storage unit that wasn't good stuff, we rented a 40-yard dumpster. We spent 2 days cleaning the thing out, and it was still full. The storage unit was still full, and the dumpster was full. We're like, what in the world? Like, they owe $200, and we're gonna have to spend a week of our life and $500 every time a dumpster comes. So we built a fire pit at storage, and so we burned stuff. And 2 nights ago, Brett's son Jonah was burning, and the fire department showed up and said, we can't burn.
We can't do it anymore. We did it for 4 years, and now they
no way.
It busted us last night before.
Yeah, well, it must smell. Somebody probably called.
Big Bad Brad said that was an unbearable video.
Oh yeah.
I mean
Yeah, there was the head of a.
Oh, and here's the restored sign.
You need a burn tent, basically, something to cover it up, and then we're good, right?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That thing
at least once. It worked once.
Well, one of the homeless guys that rents from us, he said we should just burn at night because then no one could see the smoke. But
you guys, that arcade sign is just unbelievable.
Restored, it looks awesome.
It looks, and that was just literally when we were picking. I just saw a shiny piece of metal, and I'm like, and so now we've started to ask people every time we're picking, like, do you have any neons? Do you have any signs? And we found another arcade game sign recently. I've got a Nintendo NOS sign I bought off eBay in 1995 when I was like, what is eBay? And I'm like, wow, somebody has a Nintendo neon, and that's a pretty cool piece too. But it's really hard to find signs. I remember talking again about Adam. You asked about arcades as a kid. I went to the Blue Ridge Mall and went to the spaceport, and then when it closed down in like 1996, I was there that day and they were closing down. And I was going to ask about the sign, and I was kind of embarrassed or bashful to ask. And the next day I went back and the sign had gone, and I asked, and I'm like, where'd the sign go? They threw it in the dumpster. So
no.
So now I always ask about signs. So
yeah, I mean, if everybody could have one of these signs, man, that one of our local collectors, Peter, has a really cool sign he got from the Minnesota State Fair arcade.
Hey, Peter's last name.
Ryman Schneider.
Okay, good. Pretty close.
Oh, yeah. Recognize the name.
We met him at the Iowa auction before.
Yep. Peter's a great guy.
Yeah, so this one is of Brett and a couple of guys in another warehouse next to, I can't see, there's a speed buggy in the background, and then there's What is this guy?
I think if you zoom in, he might be holding a dead marsupial in this one. I believe.
There's a relief pitcher, so that's a conversion.
Oh, classic.
And you've got a lizard or something.
That's a dead possum.
Oh,
that's gross.
It's like I said, the best story we have about dead marsupials was we found a small garage that was like airtight, but it had new old stock Gravatar and Space Dual control panels on the shelf, but there was like dozens of dead possums in this building that were like, it smelled so bad. So we would hold our breath. We had no gas mask. We would hold our breath, go in one at a time, find one, grab one, come out. Okay, and then we would like almost pass out and then send somebody else in.
It was terrible.
It was awful, but we saved, I think, 8 or 9 control panels from that building.
And there's a beautiful Tron. There's another shot of one of your locations. And then we've got the outside of that location. And then the 2 studly fellows out. This is a professional photo of you guys by the joust machine. It's a great shot.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
That was a recent picture.
Yeah, it looks great shot. And I love the Robotron and Tron and Dig Dug behind you and the broken brick wall. It's just cool. Another location, I would assume.
Yep.
And then
one of the arcade locations.
Somebody spotted this trash can on the back of your 1990s. With you guys, look at your 1990s shirts and
yellow and blue stripes. What is that?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I think that was probably a blaster Duramold on the back of a trailer.
Oh yes.
Yep.
And that was back when we went to the Dallas auctions in the late 90s. The auction would start at 9 a.m. on a Saturday. It would end the next morning on Sunday at 7 or 8. They wouldn't stop. They would have 2 auctioneers. If you stayed till midnight,
they would order pizza.
But we would take a trailer load of classic games restored, and they would always save the front row for ours because they knew we had like the nicest classics that we would bring to the super auctions. And so we were just like, oh my gosh, we just got $200 and $300 a machine. We just thought it was phenomenal. And then halfway through the auction, we would buy those same titles broken for $5 and $10 and $15. So we literally would go with a trailer, come back with a trailer, sometimes the same games.
Wow.
But those early Dallas auctions were just overwhelming to think about it. We would actually set our alarm and wake up in the middle of the night and go back to the auction because we would get bored during the pinballs, unfortunately. So,
that math makes me sad, but also if you do the math on a quarter for today, from 1980, what it's worth today, 25 cents today, 1980 is worth today 85 cents. So that $4 a gallon doesn't seem so bad anymore.
No.
If you do that reverse math. Okay, this picture I love. This is like this long sleeve brown shirt with khaki pants, khaki shorts, the yellow and blue stripe, and and the khaki shirt with a 90s cell phone hanging off the belt.
Who are those kids?
Yeah, it looks.
That picture was taken yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love it. There's a Miss Pac-Man in the background, and there's that blaster Duramold again.
That's Scott Caldwell on the right.
Scott and I met on RGVAC, and we got talking, and it turns out he lived less than a mile from my house.
Okay.
And he said, have you met Brett? And I'm like, no. And he's like, he didn't call him crazy, but he's like, you can trade Brett like Pac-Mans for like Donkey Kongs. And we're like, what? First time Brett came over, I traded Brett a Pac-Man for a Donkey Kong Jr., I think. And that was just because when Brett would go to auction back then, you just didn't want duplicates.
Yep, I didn't want to take 2 of the same thing, so I would diversify.
And it looks like this one's got, 2084 Miss Pac-Man all on the back of the flatbed and a punch out, and looks like a cabaret or maybe a change machine. But yeah, you guys, lots of good picking pictures here. Someone's kid in front of a Marble Madness and a tapper.
That was that's my son Max. That's an Atari jacket. The reason why I included that was it's my son Max, but also when Brett used to collect with his brother when they collected console. That was before I knew Brett, but Brett can tell you the stories. But he had a whole route of picking that he did for arcade console stuff, and he had a guy at the 63rd Street Drive-In. You can tell that story.
The guy at the drive-in that I bought Atari games from. he opens his trunk, and his trunk is completely filled with Atari jackets.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
The Space Shuttle Silver and the Navy Blue, and they were $2 a piece. And naturally, I bought a handful, but I was in college, so I, had 10 or 15 bucks to spend on them, but not tons. So wish we knew where that guy was nowadays, and we'd buy them all if we could.
This next picture is of a couple of green computer spaces that everybody just has laying around.
Sure.
That was the green computer space we referenced in the pre-show that the collector we bought those from, he was nice enough to let us pick which one we wanted. And that came from Hayes Amusement that was the one that Brett sent certified letters
back in the 90s.
Back in the 90s trying to buy out, and finally we got them, but we didn't get them quite as cheap as
we wanted to.
As we wanted, but it was still. We've got a green, a blue, and a yellow computer space, so we are on the hunt for a red one still.
Nice. Here's a blue one next to a space race at a Pong. Mm-hmm. And this is a Ninja's Half Price Electric Theater vintage arcade thing that you guys did.
So that was just when I said we were, when my nephew and I were going to launch our own arcade, I ended up, that was the first test location where I was actually just providing the games for Square Pizza. And so they said, hey, you can have, if it's successful back then, I mean, that was 2009. And, the wife said, I think arcades are bad and they bring in bad people. And you're like, no, it's good. And they're like, will anybody come still and be interested in Pac-Man? So we had the opportunity. They said if we were successful during this opening weekend, like during this festival, that we could do a museum location with them, and it didn't end up. It was very successful that weekend. They actually, a guy named Brad Johnson did a little documentary that's on YouTube about the Electric Theater Arcade. And
nice, that's cool.
It's out there. It's kind of hidden. It was cool. I had big dreams back then, but it's kind of nice to see, for anyone that has dreams and stuff. I mean, 12 years later, we've got 3 or 4 really, really great locations now. I guess 4 locations now, and now that Richmond's open, and so.
And here's what looks like a Super Pong.
Oh, amazing!
Giant orange TV, which actually I can replicate at home. I've got the. Orange TV.
That's in the. That's in the National Video Game Museum in Frisco, Texas.
And there's a stormtrooper playing Mario Brothers with some kids and a couple.
I am going to Frisco, Texas next month. I'm there.
It is really cool, especially, I mean, there's obviously an arcade and the games change in there, but just the way it's set up. I mean, they even have like a dedicated to home consoles, but they have like an area that looks like a storefront that's closing out. When they were selling all the stuff cheap, it looks like a storefront. They have like a 1980s bedroom set up. It's really cool.
Yeah, and at one time, the 1980s bedroom set, if you lifted the boy's mattress, there was a Playboy magazine underneath the mattress, awesome. Which I think they've had to get rid of since, but I'm a big museum aficionado. I love museums. The Coca-Cola Museum, the Mob Museum, the National Video Game Museum is done so well. It's just, yeah, if you love video games, you have to go there. It's amazing. Well,
and I you could tell the second picture of your Electric Theater logo with the vintage arcade and an interactive museum. I really love the aesthetic of what you did with the sign here. I'm a design guy on the side, so I love what you did here. It's pretty cool. But this next picture is the best.
The snake.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
What game is this in?
It's in a Centipede, and I actually worked in that machine and changed out the AR2 before I even knew there was a snake in the cabinet.
Is that a deadly one? Is that?
Thing. It was real. It was live, and it was probably 5 feet long. Yeah.
Is it a deadly one?
No, not at all. Just a black rat snake.
Oh. So it's not asp. Very dangerous. So, very good. That is a pretty frightening little guy there.
Yeah.
So it's he has venom, but it's just make you sick or something.
Cool. Well, I didn't need it.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
That is the biggest problem with the storage facility, though, is we've got mice. We have a friend of ours that does pest control, and he treats like quarterly, and that's
incidentally, he's also a pinball and arcade collector.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And matter of fact, the Jasper Robotron you saw earlier are from his private collection that he said he didn't want to sell, but he doesn't have room for right now. So we do take donations, and we will take loan machines if you want to have your machines seen to the public. But that's
this next photo looks like an arcade, but it could be an auction.
That's the Iowa auction.
That's the Iowa auction. That's where we met Peter, and we've met we met tons of guys there.
Well, Steve Lean from Minnesota, we always talk with him, and Brian. Oh, what's Brian's last name? And he writes down all the prices.
Armitage.
No, not Brian.
What? No.
There are other Brians that exist.
Oh yeah, we know.
We don't count the ones from Florida.
No.
If he's
That's
still in the
for
chat.
us too. Asking what makes us excited still, when there is arcade auctions, we kind of plan a whole trip around it. We don't just go to the auction. We set up picks on the way. We set up collectors. We don't charge to deliver machines, but if we've got room, a lot of times we love when collectors also tell us stuff that it's like the unobtainable part or piece that they can't find. Like when you asked Troy to get your iRobot, and he found it for you 3 hours later. Well, we're not that quick, but a lot of times people will tell us a board set or a joystick and
control panel for Space Harrier.
Yeah, didn't we help you out with that?
Yeah. Well,
there you go.
It will happen. It's a process.
Okay.
Yeah, when Brian came down, we let him borrow the Stompin' from. That was a really unobtainable find as well too, that we found an NOS Stompin' kit from Bally Sente that was, I didn't even honestly know it actually was manufactured and existed. I just seen prototype photos or whatever. So,
and what's really cool about that is a lot of the data that people had, I mean, the instructions are out there, but actually having the example of the LEDs around the edges, so they had lights on the floor. I mean, it's not that piece is amazing. So we're gonna hopefully be reproducing a few of those.
And that's part of the other thing we do, that we, just being collectors, we collect old Playmeter magazines, Star Trek journals, and memorabilia. And I really love reading the 1970s, like replay and Playmeters, because a lot of that stuff, the early arcade history isn't documented, or it's not documented correctly. And so when we will find, I remember one time we found an ad for a man-eater cocktail. And I remember a collector in Tennessee posting like, does this cocktail exist? And we found an ad for one that did exist. And there's a database online too that I'm sure people can find it, but there's like a Game Machine magazine from Japan, and they've actually archived all that stuff. So you can go through and scan all those magazines, but it's to see them from the late 70s and 80s. There's Nintendo machines
Back
that
in
were never
82,
released.
I used to be able to throw a pigskin quarter mile.
Back to the
And
cave.
somebody sat on the board again. Who did that? Well,
we love the history, and it's every part of the hobby for us is, except the time away from family. That's the only thing that stinks. But
yeah, I mean, you guys seem to do really well with all these different businesses and having time to pick, hanging out with your buddies, and I hope you're treating your wives well. Speaking of which, I think we should maybe wrap it up here.
So we can go hug our wives and
Yeah,
go, hey, it's done. It's over.
It's over. It's really great. No, I just want to thank you guys for being on the show first.
Thank you for having us. Really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
You guys have lots of stories, I'm sure. If you guys want to hang out again, that'd be fun. I mean,
I have one closing question.
Go ahead.
These guys are always looking for stuff. Is there a game, because this is people on here that watch this, that you're looking for, that you're like, so Red Computer Space we got.
Yeah.
I want a computer space ball. Netting computer space ball.
That's the top two.
Okay.
So, Mark, what are you looking for? What's the last game you're looking for?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
My question is what's the bottom 5 least favorite arcade games that you guys?
Oh, okay.
The least favorite?
Yeah. Least 5. Like when you're like, oh God, I guess I'll get another, Enforcers, I guess, but
Yeah. Lethal Enforcers has significant Konami chips that you can use for other things. I would say cockpits. I can't stand moving cockpits. There's some rare stuff we have in cockpits, but it just isn't worth it to me.
Right.
That's a hard one. I mean, I'm a fan of so many games and so much of the art that say I hate something. I mean,
I guess hate is a problem. It's
He
like
said
more
bottom
like
five.
bottom five. Yeah, I mean, there for a while it was always
The
like
least loved is what he's
like
asking.
did we have to pick up another pole position? I mean, when you couldn't get boards, we have probably a dozen pole positions in storage that have been sitting there for years, and it was kind of like it seemed worthless to keep buying them. But it's such a great game.
But like
though,
Zaxxon or Congo Bongo or Return of the Jedi. I mean, like those are games I will never want.
Yeah.
I kind of want Return of the Jedi. I don't know why, but okay.
You need a TX1.
I'll tell you one thing that suddenly went to the top of my list just recently.
Yes.
As during this conversation tonight, thanks to Mark and his comments about Sting, I suddenly feel like we should get a bunch of Russian attacks by Konami.
Yes.
Yes.
I like that game.
Yeah.
The Nintendo version is quite fun too.
Yeah.
I mean the Nintendo Entertainment.
Probably the cockpits with Brett too. Just the thought of moving them is not, especially that afterburner. How much does that weigh, Mark?
Well, I have a Outrun.
Outrun.
The Outrun Deluxe. That's the hydraulic one. 770 pounds, which, by the way, is the exact weight of also the Video Vendor, which, again, you mentioned the El Dorado guys like to use as a ladder. So
Yes.
The afterburner, the reason I thought of that is because we saw that at the Knoxville auction a couple years ago, and they couldn't even get a $5 bid for it because nobody wanted to move it.
No.
So
What you really need is a TX1. Cockpit, pole position, just combine the two.
Yeah.
On steroids with 3 monitors.
So Brian, is there any game that you're looking for?
Golly Ghost.
Okay.
It's out there somewhere.
Yeah, Space Fury. Oh, that'd be nice to have for me.
Yeah, what are you guys? What are you looking for that you don't have?
We just
probably the computer space ball.
Computer space ball.
Right.
Mark's on repeat now. We're just gonna put his.
I got what I want.
His video.
There's a few holes that we have, but they're not unobtainable. So
I do know one that is unobtainable, but the Missile Command cockpit. I was pursuing one from like the late '90s. Rich Dion in St. Louis said he had one. It was in the back of the warehouse, and then it went away. And then, ironically, June of 2020, I ventured down to Dallas for the first COVID auction, and lo and behold, a Missile Command cockpit shows up that's pristine, unbelievable condition. And I called Brett. I mean, we had no revenue that month. I mean, I called him, and he's like, "Okay, maybe we can bid, $3,000 or $4,000 on it." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to bid $5,000." And then I took it to like $7,000, and the auctioneer was like, "Nope, I got a phone bid," and it was Grinkers that bought it.
Oh.
And it was just a couple months before they unfortunately closed up. So
Team hat trick I lost to Steve Barbie.
So Barbie had one in his arcade, and he was buying a second one.
Wow.
Yes, I didn't know he had two.
Yeah, There's been ever since.
That's what
2015.
That's what the auctioneer told us, is that it went to Grinkers. So
he's had one since 2015.
I do.
So that was after that, and yeah.
I do know where there may be a Missile Command cockpit and a Red Baron cockpit.
So the Red Baron cockpit. We have a Red Baron. Missile Command. The interesting thing about Missile Command too, I don't know if you guys have read the Missile Commander book too, but there was they actually, with the upright, they made an environmental shell that.
Yeah. The aforementioned New Wave Toys guys, their Missile Command, they have the prototype one.
Really?
Yep. So they built a little one, and it had lights and stuff on it that would distract the player. So
nice.
They took that out. And actually, it saved them on cabinet costs. Because all they ended up doing is chopping it off.
Command, though. That's a game I cannot play.
It is a toughie.
I have it. I love it. I'm not good at it, but
I beat it. But I'm terrible.
It reminds me of like going to the amusement park and losing my money. So,
well, I want to thank you guys again for being on the show.
Yes, sir.
Let's do this again. Let's hang out. I think it'd be fun.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Mark and Brian. Appreciate it.
And hang with us after the outro, and we'll give you a proper send off. I want to thank all the chatters today for joining in. I know we've hit like 30 or more tonight, so it's great to have you here live on the show. We love your comments, and we'd love to see you again in 2 weeks. And we'll have another guest lined up for you, and we'll tell you who that is coming up shortly.
Yes.
But not on this show. And so, again, stick with us, and let's do this thing. Has everybody got their show notes ready?
Yes.
Mark, are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right. Because, you know what? What about you, Brian? Are you ready to go?
I am.
Yeah, because this is important, you know.
Yeah,
it is.
That's what she said.
Are you okay? All right, let's get this. All right, this has been the Double R's. That's Arcade Radio. Thanks for listening in tonight.
Check out our website, Arcade Radio. That is RcadeRadio for all of our social media and swag links.
Call and leave comments just like Bobby Z at 612-548-GAME. That's 4263.
Yeah, well, you know, and if you like what you've been hearing and stuff, pick up some swag over at teespring.com, or consider, you know, just throw us a buck or two over at Patreon. Patreon.com/arcaderadio. Tiers start at about $3 a month. Any bit helps, you know, keep this thing rolling.
Yeah, if you subscribe to the Twitch channel and follow us, you can click on that notification bell so you will know when we are streaming live. That is twitch.com/arcaderadio.
If you like what you're hearing, consider dropping a 5-star review on Anchor, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you consume our podcasts.
Well, that's going to be it for tonight's show. From the Arcade Radio team, we hope you had a blast, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care and good night. Okay, now you can take your pants off.
We had to have pants on?
Oh boy. Uh-oh.
Oh yeah.
Uh-oh. I feel like dancing. Here we go. It's a good show, you know?